Here we have the long-awaited Solina String Ensemble from Behringer. It's an all-analogue affair based on the classic that was a staple used by just about every big name in the 70s. Pink Floyd, you're listening to my very shoddy remake of Shine On Crazy Diamond here. Stevie Wonder, Elton John, Fleetwood Mac, George Harrison, David Bowie, and the list goes on into the 80s with Parliament, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Brian Eno, The Cure, and if you've ever listened to Disintegration, it's all over that album, and if you haven't, you should. It's a masterpiece of atmospherics with this as the ocean of sound on which they sailed into rock history. And then we move on through the 90s and beyond with Gorillaz, Air, and we could go on for a whole while longer, but in summary, the original is a true classic, which I guess is why Behringer brought it back to life. Well, it's an incredibly simple machine. Anyone that's used to my deep dive reviews will be relieved to know this one's going to be a lot shorter. We've only got orchestral sounds that are accessed via these 6 buttons on the front. We've got its pièce de résistance, which is this modulation button here, and this is a beautiful chorus. We've also got a phaser, a separate volume slider for the contrabass and the cello, so double bass and cello. Main volume, and then this is basically a very, very simple attack release envelope. So let's take a listen. We'll start off with the viola. Super simple sound, but really nice. It's got a really nice texture to it. We'll add the modulation, just get straight into this immediately. Just pure, lush, atmospheric textures. Beautiful, isn't it? Knock these down to 0. It's not like super snappy or anything, it's meant to be a viola. You really fancy playing major chords on this. It really reminds me of old 70s rock tracks. Move to the violin. The violin's an octave higher. Playing 2 octaves there. Cello's an octave lower. Only plays from a G downwards. Is that a G2? And now the contrabass, the double bass, an octave lower. They were playing 3 octaves. Play the trumpet. You can see why the DX7 chord's on, can't you? And then the horn comes in only if you're playing the trumpet. But like a muted sound. So you can't have the horn on its own. Put them all in. With these down, it's like it got a real organ sound. And that, I think, is because of the way it works. I've been talking about the octaves there, and the reason I've been doing that is because of the way the oscillators work. There's 12 oscillators in this, and as I understand it, it's 1 for each key. Playing all 12 oscillators. So I'm playing 1 oscillator now. What I'm doing there is effectively playing 1, 2, 3 sub-oscillators. So when it says it's got 47 note polyphony, it sort of does. Well, it does. Because each of the 12 oscillators can play all the sub-octaves. And that's it, that's how it works. Let's play something else, just have a little play. That definitely sounds like distant futures past, doesn't it? Some sort of dystopian future from the 70s. And yeah, I know this wasn't used to make that, but it just has that sort of feel to it. And if you're not into your big 1970s rock classics, like I'm not really, and you know, you just know what they sound like. You know, it was used by Jean-Michel Jarre. I'm not playing Jean-Michel Jarre, by the way. Nice, isn't it? Just a really nice sound. Not mentioned the phaser yet. Got 2 colours, which is basically the depth of the phase, and a rate. And to me, it just gives a beautiful texture, a lovely atmosphere, and it really does remind me of Premiere Symptoms from Air. I think they used it an awful lot. And I do apologise for this track in the background. It's a little bit like when you're watching a TV show and it's sort of the pop track, but it's not quite because they don't want to pay the royalties. Just me avoiding copyright strikes on YouTube. But yeah, for those sort of lo-fi textural things, it's absolutely glorious. We've also got these 2 pairs of inputs and outputs, so we can bring something into the modulation or to the phaser, sort of completely separate to the synth. Let's just do that. Using the Pittsburgh Taiga, I'm coming out from the filter, going back into the dynamics, so we're just pitching this in directly. Phaser's turned off here. But possibly more useful is the modulation in and out, so the chorus. You've got absolutely no control over it whatsoever. It is what it is, but it's nice. So in summary, if you want a sort of lo-fi, vintage 70s vibe, you want a dystopian future, you want something that sounds like a rock band from the 70s, this is your thing. It can sound very, very sort of orchestral. It can also sound like an organ, but it's not about the range of sounds that you get from this. It's about what it does, just what it brings to a track, and you know when you plug it in exactly what you're going to get. I really like it. Instant character, instant atmosphere. You can, if you want, put it into your Euro rack. Just take it out of this box. Got trig out, we've got gate out, we've got a MIDI in. Also on the back, got a MIDI through. Change your MIDI channels using these dip switches here. We've got USB, that's probably for updates and the like. Maybe it's MIDI as well, I've not actually checked that. Maybe I should. But yeah, the Behringer Solina String Ensemble, I'm a bigger fan than I thought I was going to be. Really do like it. Well, I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please think about subscribing, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. I've got tutorials, patches, samples and stuff like that, you know, and give me some suggestions on what you'd like to see on there as well. And I'll see you next time, and hopefully it won't be about 2 years till the next Behringer thing. Hopefully the chip shortage has now meant that we've got a few more synths on the way soon. I don't have any insider info from that perspective, just fingers crossed, guys.